Therefore, what should people do in a way?
I've given up, and people never believe me. I say this over and over again. I cannot see, as I scan the horizon, any sign of any forces coalescing, which would be capable of taking on the enemies which we face. They don't understand the problem. They refuse to understand the problem. They reach for the short term. They reach for the noisy slogan, and they won't think about it. And a period of profound thought is necessary, and an understanding of what you're up against. And there are still people in British conservatism who think Jeremy Corbyn is to the left of Keir Starmer, when it's perfectly obvious that the opposite is the case. And they will not think, because they prefer the easy, look at the wicked Marxist Jeremy Corbyn. It's a gift to them, because they can say, look, he's such an obvious old trot. That anybody can see that they don't want him to be Prime Minister. But by doing so, they do the work of the Blairites, who are far to the left of Corbyn and love to see British Conservatives raging against Corbyn when they get on with the real revolution in peace. Revolutionaries are not people climbing on barricades in stoved-in top hats, waving cutlasses. They're not rude people who burst into your office in dirty clothes, tossing the papers to one side. They're not Bolsheviks or Jacobins. They're smooth people in good suits and good hair, who've been to Oxford, who've studied PPE, and who know how to dismantle one society and replace it with another without killing anybody. They're not, but people won't recognize this. They can't see that a revolution can take place under the leadership and control of people like that.
Do you think, though, that along those lines, think of that sign of revolution, if you like, that's happened over a period of, 60 years, maybe? Something like that. Do you think people are a little more aware of that now?
Not in the slightest. I've been trying to make this point. I was looking back at my first book, The Abolition of Britain, now, a quarter of a century old. I make this precise point that the nature of the revolution has changed. People often come ask me and say that how much they like the book and all the rest. I don't know. I'm glad about that. But I've seen no sign that anybody in any position of influence or political decision-making has ever read it. Because it makes this point perfectly clearly in good, clear English. There isn't any doubt about what it's saying from a position of knowledge. You must understand what a revolution looks like now. This is what it is. This is what it seeks. This is the nature of it. And anybody can read the works of actual American revolutionists. This is important here, because we can learn from America, such as Saul Alinsky, who pointed out back in the 60s and 70s to the huge numbers of people who'd been involved in the great anti-Vietnam War revolts, who were then going into careers in all the major areas of American life. Stop being silly. Stop expecting that you'll get what you want by going into the street and shouting. Work for your objectives. Become an effective activist. Work for your objectives, and you will obtain state power. And probably the best example of somebody who's done this in the modern world is Barack Obama, a man undoubtedly of the very firm left, but a man who did the work, who got into the machine, and who became president of the United States. So there's lots of people like this, not many of them as dramatic as that. And people, there are many, many people on the British right who've never heard of Saul Alinsky, never read his Rules for Radicals, don't know that people who had been on all the silly demonstrations and grown their hair down to their elbows and all the rest of it in the 1960s, in the 70s and 80s and 90s became serious apostles of serious organized change.
And then they chose to maybe become bureaucrats instead.
Bureaucrats, teachers above all, lawyers, and the penetration of the legal profession by revolutionists has been extremely effective. And of course, that's why the Supreme Court's so important.